Got it.
And I'm welcoming Ifunaki.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ifunaki.
Yeah, you got it. Good.
So actually I found you. So I trained with Josh Sylvie,
Yeah.
and I was just watching videos one day. Someone sent me a video of Josh and you and Peter,
Yeah.
and I was watching it and I was just very taken by you. I liked your energy. I thought there was just something very authentic. And I thought it'd be really fun to talk to you about your life a little bit, your work, kind of philosophy. I just want to learn more about what you do and how you integrate somatic therapy in with it. So I guess my first question would be, tell us about you. Like, where are you from? Tell us your story. How'd you come to do this work?
All right. Thank you, Luis. So yeah, I was born in Tanzania, born and raised in Tanzania on the slopes of the mountain Kilimanjaro. I think when I say Kilimanjaro, many people will be familiar with that. And yeah, I grew up there until I was 28 years old. Very traditional community, very much the earth. I always like to say this for you to know how rural we were. Like I saw a car, actually was a bus, for the first time when I was 12 years old. So
Wow, it's amazing.
until then, I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like a house. Yeah, stuff like that. So, but I very much very traditional rituals. People, you will call indigenous people, but Tanzania, everybody is indigenous in many ways because we have like 124 tribes, and every tribe has its own language, custom, and all those kind of things. So in that sense, when you say, well, do you have indigenous in Tanzania? Like they will, I said, we are all indigenous, really. We just go to the city and then we kind of, but everybody has their home to go to, at certain time of the year. So I came from that context, yeah, with
Yeah.
with a very deep connection with the ancestors. That's why I had to tell a little bit about that. And then I decided, I was a teacher. I was, of course, educated in the formal education, and I had my bachelor degree in science and education. So I started teaching right away when I finished my degree, and I taught a seminary. And from that place where I was teaching, I met the Merino sister. Yeah? I was teaching mathematics and science subjects. And I met a Merino sister who is like a religious congregation. It's a missionary type, a Catholic missionary. And she noticed that I was doing a lot of mission work, like I was helping young people in the village on my own. During the week, I work in the seminary, and during the weekend, I went out to different schools, different villages, and I work with women and the young people. And just bring awareness, these kind of things. And then they said, why don't you join us? You do work on your own. I think you need a group to join. And I said, oh, okay, tell me about it. So when they introduced me to their group, which is a missionary, I told them I didn't want to become a religious, with habit and all that. But they said, well, we don't have habits. So I said, oh, okay, maybe that's a good group to join. So then from there, I joined them. I came to New York. I went to New York. So that's where the headquarters are. And from that headquarters, I then decided to come to Brazil to do my work of helping people who are unfortunate, like in the communities where they're, I don't like using the word poor, but they are marginalized, really. They're rich people, but they're marginalized in many ways, rich in experience and knowledge and all that. So then from there, I went back home. Then I said, I'm going to Brazil. I'm like, what? So there I was, I come to Brazil and I adapted really well. And I've been here for 28 years now.
Wow.
In the northeast of Brazil. And I love it. Yeah, that's to begin with. All right.
So so I have a question about some of that. So when what was it that took you to Brazil? Like what called you to go there instead of back home?
Oh yeah. Okay. So the the order, the religious order that I joined, they are missionaries. So I want to talk this language like people are not used to, this language of missionaries. They're missionaries, and missionaries means that you don't go back to your own country to be missionary to your own country. They send you to another country. And by then I was ready. Actually, before I was like, I want to come back to my own country. And then when they gave the idea, I said, that's good. So I studied different countries, and I picked up Brazil. Why did I pick up Brazil? I picked up Brazil because I read from the history of Brazil that 3/4 of all the slaves that were brought to the Americas went to Brazil. 3/4. I didn't know that, and read. I was like, wow. So there must be a lot of Black people there, and also, like, there were other things that I read about the Amazon. And so I said, well, I'm going to Brazil because I might find my cousins and, stuff like that. So that's really what brought me. And I said, I will be happy to work. And also at that time, I read about the street. I watched a movie on the street children in Brazil, in Sao Paulo. And it was very, very devastating to see on how the street children were, So I thought maybe I will work with the children when I got here, of which I didn't. But that's one thing that caught my attention a lot. And the number of the slaves that came here, I say slaves, the African people. I don't want to call them slaves anymore. The African people that were forced to leave their land to come to Brazil. So that attracted me.
That's incredible. I think I just want to ask you about that right away. I was going to wait till later, but I'm curious, as a trauma therapist and someone that works with the ancestors and is from Africa and has her own indigenous culture and way, like, what's it like to work with the residual collective trauma of slavery and then being sent to Brazil? How does that show up?
Wow. So then, when I got here, of course, I thought I was going to work with the children. And then I found out that now it's too much. Actually, literally, the word we use in SC was overwhelming to see those kids coming into. There's a place where one priest used to bring them called Praça da Sé. It's one huge church. And under the church, there was an area where the kids used to come to sleep at night so they don't feel cold. And they will come flying, like they fly on top of us, they fly on top of the priest, I'm like, whoa, this is too much. So then I came up to the northeast of Brazil, and there I started working with women. And right away, I started the organization. I founded, together with other people, co-founded the organization called the AFIA. AFIA is the word, Swahili word that means health. And I use that word because the women themselves wanted it that way. So we started this organization, and then we started working with women who had suffered so much violence in the communities and poverty. So in my working with them, using different methodologies that I knew before, and massage, I started working with body already in Tanzania. And then in New York, somehow I got here, I came down deep into it. And I'm doing massage, reflexology, but these people, they calm down, they go back to their violence situation, they come back worse the following day. So I started searching for how can I help them better? And actually, that's when I found somatic experiencing. So I went to it right away. I identify with the word, the name, right away. I ran after it. Only in the first module, I studied the first module. When I came back, I attended like 15 women per week who have suffered from violence, more than 15 really, but I remember having just all those, and many of them, there were a lot of results. So I thought, wow, this is what I needed to do. So I just jumped down deep, and I told my teacher, Sonia Gomez, I said, Sonia Gomez, thank you for bringing this method to me. I want to become a teacher in this method. You know why? Because I have an access to a lot of people in the community, and I just want to teach in somehow. So, well, you have to study. So I ran after it, and then I was as a teacher. But in many ways, the team that work at AFIA, the community people, those who cannot afford also, to study SE formally, I can actually transmit somehow some training informal of somatic experiencing. So that's how I got to the somatic experiencing. And then it added into a lot of my knowledge and just being with people in healing their traumas.
And how much of their traumas do you see as an intergenerational result from slavery? Like, how much of that do you work with?
Oh, wow, a lot, lots. And actually, this is why. So talking about Brazil. I mean, Brazil is amazing. It's magical. It has all this energy too. And it has to do with the ancestors. So, I mean, I was attending somebody who brings some mysterious type of trauma. Like he said to me, he was a doctor too. He said to me, I have had 8 accidents and all of them at the same time and the same date, in the same time of the year. And I will walk out of the accident completely like nothing, no scratch, nothing. But I lost the car completely. Like you cannot do anything with the car. And I said, you had to wait for 8 times to come to me or to look for help? He said, yeah. This last one, I got quite scared. I started feeling panic attack. So we worked with panic attack and I see, but this mystery of having the accident that repeats itself in the same time, the same day, of the year, I had to look for something else. I started saying, I need to talk to the ancestors. So I started searching for something else now. Yeah, I'm connecting with my ancestors, but how can I help other people connect to the ancestors? So then I found somebody who told me there's a family constellation, which works with the transgenerational trauma. And then from that, it was very good. I studied it. I did one workshop. That's how I do. I mean, it's magical. I pick up very quickly. I did one workshop over the weekend. The following Tuesday, I'm already attending that guy, and it worked. That's it. That's the end of repetition. Because then we found that the things come from the ancestors and it's passed on. And again, it's like from the slavery, they bring their ancestors here. Those who didn't come, a majority of them, of course, they have this blood of slavery. So they need to integrate with it. Otherwise, these things happen too. Yeah. So that's how I got to family constellation after somatic experiencing.
So all these modalities you were trained in, they came from the need to serve.
Yeah. I never went to it because I'm curious. No, I like, I need something. This violence is too much. These women need something else because many of them are depressed. So I go for somatic and then, there's more. I said, I thought somatic experience is the method of healing every trauma. That's how I thought.
Yeah.
And when a challenge came to me, I'm like, oh no, we have more to this. And this is mysterious. But right away, though, I have a lot of intuition. Right away, I said, I think there's something to do with ancestors, with something that is not assumed here, or you're not in touch with. So I started searching again, and then I found, and then I go deeper. And again, I don't go just shallow. I go deeper. Like I have to look for the training. I did 2 trainings and I got a certificate, started teaching it and attending people with it. So that's
fantastic. I think those 2 pieces, the somatic experiencing with the intergenerational work, I feel like that's just the gold. I see so many people who their bodies are still behaving like their ancestors unbeknownst to them because it's in there trying to express itself out, right? But it lacks context. So as you start filling in the context, there's like this separation and it starts to heal itself essentially. Is that how you experience it as well?
Yes, Luis. I experienced that, so much of that. And I always found, that's why I combine very well these 2 methods. And I always find in most of the trauma, they will have a piece that has to do with somatization, yeah, that, okay, there's energy here needs to be released. I work with that first. When, how we talk about to complete the defensive response. So I always work with that first. Yeah. Like, I'll give it's not extreme, it's very common that somebody will say, well, my father used to come to my room at night and rape me or molest me, like, and it was terrible. I don't know what to do. I couldn't tell my mother. My mother knew, but she won't do anything. And so then I know here that a little child who is 8 years old gets really scared. At the same time, she gets curious because this is somebody so familiar. So I want to work with the dilemma, what my dad want to do, but I'm really scared. I don't know what is this. So this dilemma has a lot of defensive responses that are coupled inside. Like, I want to push him away, but I can't. He's my father. But then I'm really scared. At the same time, let me just stay with the curiosity and say, well, is he doing me something good, or he's really kind of treat me, and then they end up so confused. Yeah, it's terrible. It is the worst trauma, because this is somebody you trust totally, who should protect you, and they do this. At the same time, there's a curiosity of natural thing of a human person too, human being. Huh? So what I work with, I do SC, and maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions even, where I can help them to uncouple, defend themselves. You have other people, you have other grandmother, grandfather, we go to the ancestors who can help you to say, get out of here, daddy. And they really feel good. They feel their energy, it's all collapsed in, it comes out, and they can feel their power. They said, wow, yeah. So they can cry what they didn't cry, they can yell, okay? So then after I do that, they tell me, and now what? What am I going to do? Do I have a father or not? I cannot be without my father because I actually love my father. I said, yeah, don't worry, we'll do something about that. So we go to the family constellation. Okay. And in that family constellation, I put the father, I ask them to pick somebody, if it is in the public. If it's not now with the pandemic, I talk to them over there in their screen there, and I say, well, bring some objects from your kitchen, from your living room, any object, and put your father, put your mother, put yourself there. And then I want to see how it works. It's amazing, because even though the father had treated them that for many years, maybe, they pick an object, they put themselves closer to the father, and they put the mother away. And that's amazing, huh? And I said, then I bring them out there where I ask them, how do you feel? They say, oh, very uncomfortable. I want to run away and da, da, da. So then I said, well, it's very interesting though, that you were scared of your father, but you put yourself next to your father and your mother very far away. They say, yeah, I don't know what's that all about. I didn't think about it. So what we do with family constellation is to bring the invisible out of the subconscious mind. And these are the invisible that keep repeating so many times in our lives. Yeah, bring trauma back again. So I actually, at the moment, I can ask them to put the grandparents behind the father, and then they start feeling more safe. And then I say, well, put your mother next to your father, because he is the one who fall in love with your mother, not with you. Okay, so I say, if you stay next to your father, you don't know what he's capable of doing. Then they are like, oh, probably this is what happened. You say nothing at this moment. You let the client bring their own meaning, because this is a very delicate topic. So then when they put the mother next to the father and they move themselves away forward, and they have the ancestors, layers of ancestors there, they feel really good. They have everybody to protect them. And then they realize, they say, oh, you know what? I had my grandfather did something like that to my aunt. So I said, that doesn't belong to you. It was just repeating. So before it repeat to your daughter, let's give it back. So I have them honor. Yeah, the word honor in the United States, I'm not sure how it's understood, but probably we can say reverencing. Yeah? I asked them to do a reverence where they bend themselves in, before all this greatness of the father, mother, ancestors, everybody, and take an object or whatever and give it back. Said, I give back this. I don't understand. I am too small for this. I give it back to you, and then I will move forward with your blessing. That I can take. Love, blessing, strength, that I can take. That is really wonderful. That heals the trauma that the client have been working on for 40 years.
Makes so much sense to me, because there's so much in what you said. I see that a lot with clients that have experienced incest and any kind of sexual abuse, with family members. There's this overcoupling of this person that I love and want to be intimate with as my father, let's say, and then like the threat and violation. And I love how you said that, because when you allow the threat and violation response to complete itself first, then there's like some safety in the body from that. And then you honor that desire of, and a lot of people say they feel ashamed because they still love their father, but there's this inherent goodness in us of loving people regardless of what they do to us. And we don't have a lot of tools of practicing how to hold those two worlds, right? If I was desecrated by this person and a part of me still loves them, how do I deal with that?
Exactly. And this is the answer. The family constellation, which is transgenerational trauma healing, because then they feel very comfortable actually after they just realize that, they let go of all the guilt, all the shame, because they realize that, oh no, it came from back there. And it just, and then they realize that they can say, oh, I'm married and my little girl is only 3 years old and want only to sleep with the father, doesn't want to come to me. I said, okay, so the energy from the little toddler, the energy is already beginning to, so I said, you can put the discipline there. You are the one to be next to your husband, and you can tell your little girl, hey, this is my place. And now you can move forward because this is resolved.
Yeah, you're literally interrupting that pattern. Yeah. That's powerful. I love that, because I often experience the ancestors so somatically. Like a lot of times we think of the ancestors in a spirit way, which is true, the ether, but they're so somatic. They're so in us, our bodies are like made from their memories. And so I feel like when we talk about these unconscious patterns that keep repeating, it's almost like the pattern is saying, look at me, I want to be released, right? And so until we see it and kind of pause it and release it, it just keeps reenacting itself, doesn't it?
It does. And like you said about feeling, we have those sensations in us too. We can feel it if we pay attention to the body. So in the present, SC give us that gift to be present at the moment of now. And when I pay attention here, somehow I could feel that energy being transformed too and become even aware. Sometimes when I tell people to put their objects or to do the drawings, I go to a sea after they do all of that. And I say, now let's just stay still, notice your body, notice what's moving, what's coming out. And then they can begin to adjust themselves because the energy is settling and then everything becomes really clear. So a C component is so good with this generational healing trauma, because generational healing trauma is like it's like a mysterious thing that happens.
Yes.
It has a lot of phenomena. So sometimes people are really afraid of it because they think, oh no, that's too much. I don't want to deal with that. They're afraid of it. But I tell people, if you get in touch with it correctly through the body, you find a lot of benefit. Yeah, so that we can take the goodness from the ancestors and leave whatever that didn't serve them with them. And look at this psychologically. We are crazy human beings. Well, like your grandfather is dead or grandfather is dead, and he did something wrong, and until today you're fighting against what he did 100 years ago. You know what I mean? We
Yes,
do that.
yes. I often call that being out of time.
Out
Like,
of time.
like because the one thing you said that I really resonated with was how SC gives you the ability to feel the present. It's not
Yes,
just like being in the present, like you feel what it's like to not have a past or a future. And
exactly.
I love that you said that because I've never had anyone else say that before. I've thought it, but I've never said it. But I
Yeah,
think that the practice of being without present or future is
yeah,
so liberating and feels so good. And when
exactly.
you make the unconscious conscious, which is like my body's fighting against this thing from 4 generations ago, you realize it's like a time warp. Like you're totally 300 years in the past in your body.
Yeah. So then I always say, well, you know what? Right now you can recognize that your ancestors are just like, manure, cow manure, humus. They're humus. They made a nice soil for you to thrive. So, and the humus, the manure, doesn't have good or bad, doesn't have war, doesn't have anything. We just let it go into that and take it now as a nutrition for your body. The goodness. That's all we want to stay with. We can,
Mm-hmm.
and that only happened like you talk about feeling in the present, the moment of now, being here and now. You can do that.
Yeah, one of my favorite exercises with people around intergenerational trauma is the words "not mine." And
Yeah.
you just like feel that. You just feel how it's real. Like you said, it's not yours. Like you didn't do this. This is their pattern that fell into your body. It's
Yeah.
such this beautiful reclaiming of your own body, isn't it?
Exactly. I said that doesn't belong to me. All of a
Correct.
sudden, it's like, whew, something drops.
Yes. Yes. I feel it when you say it. Just like, oh, what a relief.
But you know what? There's a little secret into that, which many people have difficulties with. It's the humble, huh? So if when I say that doesn't belong to me, I cannot say it like that.
Yes.
I need to lower myself beneath.
Yes.
You're bigger and I'm small. And if you are bigger, then whatever that doesn't belong to me, you can handle it. And I will be free.
That's
Literally, you do like that, right? And all the loads come off your shoulder.
yes. I love. I think what you're saying, and for those of you who can't see us, Ifu is doing this great posture of it's not mine in like a pompous way with the chest out and the jaw looking up and rocking your head back and forth, like attitude. But it's like when we go into the not mine in a humble way, I love that because the physiology of that kind of I don't know what we want to call it, like I'll just say pompous. Like when you go into that pompous defensive posture, that defensiveness is just more activation and constriction. And so when you say the humbleness around not mine, it literally is a physiology of letting go of the charge, isn't it?
Exactly. And the humbleness there, like you talk about, because the other one is like a pride.
Yes.
And it's a pride of a little child because
Yes.
really that developmental trauma that we came into and we wanted to be that little child that knows better than anybody else, but never transform that part into the adult that understand that there are other people who can do things also better than us. Yeah. So that's yeah. And that's what I think even the spirituality comes to this. When you're able to let go in that form, for me, that is a spiritual way of being and understanding that and acceptance that everybody talks so much about, that's
I
all.
I agree. I've done because I've had to heal from my own work. The way I found this work was trying to heal my own trauma, and then I was able to now teach it and give it to other people. But I remember the moments of what you called acceptance. What I experienced was there was a humility when I would think of the people in my mind who assaulted me. I was able in my heart to be open to them
Yeah,
and to have humility. And it was this true act of accepting who they were, but not taking it on as mine.
exactly. That's it. That's wonderful.
Yeah. I'm really curious what it's like to have the background of indigenous customs and living and rituals and not seeing a car till age 12, which I'm jealous of. It sounds amazing. What was it like to have that for 12 years? How did that impact your work with SE and family constellation? Like, where do they intersect? Where are they parallel, if they are?
Yeah, I mean, that, I think that's for me, Peter Levine himself, he said to me the other day, the other day, it was about a month ago, maybe, I did an interview, it's May, an interview with him. I think it's going to come up in the conference, yeah, and a conference, SE conference. And he said, if we were talking about the capacity, so like, what is really an essence of a sea? The essence of a sea is to be present. Yeah, he said, for me, that is the basic, to be able to be present in the moment of now. And then when many things transform and change in our body and in time and space, everything change when we are here. And so he said to me, and if when I first met you, I saw the SC right manifesting in you. I saw the presence. You are present, nothing else. And your presence attract because people feel that. And this is how powerful the presence is. And so it's not only Peter who have told me before, but many people, they tell me, Efo, what is this? There's a very attractive energy in you. It's like, and I'm saying, because I think I have when I'm here, I am here. And that capacity of being present, it's really what people get attracted with, because we need that. The whole world need that. It's missing in the world.
Did you finally, like, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is what I got from my background of being, you go to bed early, there was no electricity, you're connected to the earth. We didn't wear shoes. I didn't wear shoes to go to school. And today I have to take off my shoes to go to my garden. You know what I mean? I still have the necessity of that. They're connected to the nature. I mean, I have a garden, I always plant trees. I want to really connect with the earth because that's what gave me a very good background. The connection with the earth, with the nature, with everything. Even though from there, I went to the cities and I was able to always be in a place where I can still connect to the nature somehow. But I feel that gave me very good presence. And the second thing, I think the presence of the ancestors in me, I always feel them very strong in me. I carry them. They're all here. They give me this thing of like, it's not the bad weight, but it's a weight of boom. When you sit, you just feel it. You sink into the chair. I feel like the ancestors give me that presence too. So those are the two things. Sorry, you can go ahead and.
No, that's what I wanted to ask actually. Because that's what I was imagining. I was thinking, if I'm imagining being in a village and having like traditional pagan indigenous culture and bare feet, and like you said, the sun goes down, I go to sleep. You're literally co-relating with all those beings around you. So it's you're building the capacity for and practice of presence. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, without mentioning it.
Correct.
It was always there because
it's your culture.
We didn't talk about meditations and stuff like that.
Right. Well, I'm glad you said that, because I'm kind of like personally obsessed with creating new culture versus having techniques. Like I think a technique is like an introduction, but when it becomes your culture, it's just because you're bathed in it all day long, right? You don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
That's so lovely. And I love what you said about the earth too, because that connection to the earth, I don't know a more present being than the earth. So to be totally in relationship with that is just
Yeah.
is so supportive then to do this work later in life. That was like your prerequisite, you
That
know?
was my, thank God. So I'm so grateful for where I was born. I had the
Hmm.
background. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm also on a spiritual level, I'm finding it really beautiful that you're born in Africa, you go to New York,
Yeah.
and then you decided to do missionary work in Brazil because 3/4 of your ancestors went to Brazil after being enslaved. Like there's
Right.
something like coming home, just going to Brazil, right? Like,
Yes.
what's that like been like for you? It's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That's a nice question. I like that. Because you know what? When I got here in Brazil, I got in touch with, I felt good, just felt good. And when I went to New York, the first 6 months were hard because it's winter, and it was very hard to deal with winter. So I had some panic attacks. Sometimes it was like, oh my God, this is so bad. So I remember going through a little suffering there, at adjusting. But when I came to Brazil, I said, I'm still waiting for culture shock 28 years later, because I never got culture shock. So it felt really good to be here. So, and I think one of the things I got in touch with right away was the religious that the Africans brought from their ancestors. They brought it here. It's well spread all over the place. Even though the time I arrived here, it was quite hidden still. Yeah, because if you practice it, actually at that time, the police could come and tell you to stop. Yeah,
What was
that's
the
how
religion? What was the practice?
it's called candomblé. It's ancestors and the ancestors' religion. It's in Brazil. It's all over the place. Candomblé. Yeah.
It was illegal when you first moved there.
Yeah. It
Wow.
was illegal. Can you imagine? And so people had to do it in their gardens and all that. So, somebody told me, "Oh, are you from Africa? Do you know about this?" And you know what? It's a negative thing. It's a witchcraft stuff. Do you know this? I said, "No, I don't know anything about the witchcraft stuff, but I know the culture of the ancestors that I lived with. If that is the case, I would love to know. But if not, I'm not sure." He said, "Oh, don't ever go. Here it's not with the ancestors. It's a witchcraft stuff." So I didn't even speak well Portuguese, but I went searching for it myself. Somebody told me that house over there in their background, they do, backyard, they do that. So I went there. I introduced myself, started participating, and it felt good because it was like I felt myself. I said, "Wow, I had to come from Africa here, and then I found my own roots here. So I came back home." Even though, to tell the truth, that the ritual, of course, it has transformed. It's a little different, but still there's an essence there. Yeah, in touch with the ancestors. It's all about reconnecting with the ancestors. And so one day I said to this woman, to the priestess, I said to her, "Do you think my ancestors will be mad at me that I'm participating?" She said, "Not the same ancestors, actually. They are dancing over there when they see you here." She said to me. I said, "You're right. They are the same, like I'm not
Yeah.
just holding the ancestors of my clan, but all the African ancestors that came." So it felt very good. I participated. And then I started helping, fighting for the rights,
Mm.
that to be able to do these rituals with freedom. So I also helped to form a Black women organization that we really fought for this. Make sure this is everybody you have to respect. This is, even if it's witchcraft, you can talk about it because you don't understand it. We did a lot of work in help.
Beautiful. When did it
Yeah.
become legal then? When did that shift?
Well, slowly, I think little by little, it began to, they started respecting, and in the early 2000, no, early 2000, I think it became legal. They,
Amazing.
like normal, they don't follow anymore. Look at the people when they see it practicing, they don't go, and it was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So that experience was a major ancestral healing for you.
It was.
That's incredible. You had to go to Brazil to heal your ancestors. I mean, it's incredible.
Yes.
I love that.
That. Yes, 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 yeah. So it was wonderful. And it's still, I'm still connected to that. I have this one priestess. I think I hold her as my spiritual director.
Yeah, okay. So I'm curious, what are you doing right now? What kind of work are you doing that people can find or learn from you, or see what you're up to, or learn this philosophy? Because you integrate so many unique things into holistic therapy. So I'm really curious, people who listen to this, how do they get more of you?
Well, the work I'm doing right now, I'm talking to you. So many people now have been asking me for these interviews, webinars. I just had an interview the other day in preparation for the summit that Thomas Habo, Thomas Habo, I'm sure he's so famous. The Thomas Habo's organization is doing in September, and they interview me to be one of the speakers. So we talk about all these things. And then I did another interview, and there was another summit that is happening right now in Europe. I think it's finished. It was finished 2 days ago. I also was interviewed for it. It's over there. There's another Black woman. Her name is Beverly. I forgot her second name. I'm looking for it. She's also going to hold her summit in August. She also asked me to, and she loved these ancestors. She didn't know much about this, about more the ancestral healing. And so she wanted to know more about it. So she interviewed me about this. So I also did that. Some of these summits are totally for free. Some of them, they pay something, but I don't care. We want more people to get information and healing. I do it with love. So that's one thing that I've been really busy these days. Another thing is I do SC family constellation, or SC generational trauma healing, transgenerational trauma healing, all over the place, all over the world, across the globe. Because we'll say why I say across the globe. I have had the opportunity to go to more than 14, 15 countries to teach SE and family constellation. So some of it is official, some of it is just people invite me there and we just do a workshop, or a talk. And so those people, they know me. And therefore, whenever they need, they always write to me. Can I have an individual session? Can I have a group session? So I'm busy. My schedule is totally busy constantly. So, and they get healed from this using both ways.
Mm-hmm. So you go wherever you're called, you show up and you serve.
Wherever I call, I show up. And then here in Brazil, I still have the organization. It's called AFIA, Holistic Healing Center. I'm sure you read about it. And then I go there every day. That's where I do my healing during the day. These are the things I marked maybe once in a while during the week if it was necessary, or I mark on the weekend, like you, as you say, I mark on the weekend. Tomorrow, I'm off to the center, and people come to the center. Even with the pandemic, we have been supporting a lot of people for this pandemic moment. They come, they have panic attack, or some member of the families died, and some of them, they're literally sick. We just put our own prevention and we help them, yeah? So there's a lot of healing that happened there. And at the center, I do more somatic experiencing and family constellation, yeah? Generational trauma healing. And then the other members there, but we're about 20 of us, 23. The other members do like mud therapy, herbal medicine, the complementary, you do all of that and you're healing, your whole being is healed. Yeah. So that I'm busy.
I love that you're busy because it's like you have a lot to offer. And I feel really lucky that you made time for me because I get to share you with people. And I love this conversation. And I just thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Luis. And I'm glad that's it. Like people just read through, or they found mine, or they participate in one of the workshops that I do or summit, and then they write to me. Some people are introduced to me, some people they just find themselves from the webinar. So I'm happy to be able to serve. I came here in Brazil as a missionary, like a Catholic missionary.
Mhm.
I had no clue what the universe and God was calling me to. Something bigger than just like a Catholic missionary. It went beyond, the whole universe. And I'm very happy with that.
That's so beautiful. Just
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Luis. Yeah.